Welcome back to This Is Not CBC.
Welcome back to This Is Not CBC. Let's dive right in. You ever reach a point where you just stop and think, how in the hell did we get here? Because that's exactly where we are right now in Canada, watching what's happening at the Universal Ostrich Farm. Katie, the farm's owner, has been silenced, blocked from her own animals, and forced to stand by while the CFIA, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, takes full control of her property under what they call a stay order. That order was meant to protect, not persecute. And yet here we are, with locals whispering that ostriches are vanishing in the night, while the CFIA refuses to answer a single question or provide any form of transparency. Now, here's where things take a dangerous turn. Under Canadian law, the Supreme Court bases its decisions on facts, evidence, and verified data, not assumptions. And right now, the CFIA is reportedly refusing to allow independent testing of the birds. That means the farm's legal team has no scientific proof to present, no factual record to counter the CFIA's claims. Without that testing, the Supreme Court could be forced to rule based on the CFIA's narrative alone, a narrative that hasn't been independently verified. If that happens, it sets a dangerous precedent where government agencies can act first and justify later, with the courts left blindfolded. It is critical, essential, that the farm's lawyer formally requests the court to authorize independent testing. Because without evidence, justice becomes guesswork. And when the truth is buried under bureaucratic control, the system itself fails the people it's meant to serve. Now let's talk about who's actually in charge here, because it seems even that's up for debate. The CFIA has been behaving like it operates above the RCMP, above provincial jurisdiction, and even above the Supreme Court of Canada itself. But make no mistake, the Supreme Court is the highest judicial authority in this nation. If an agency like the CFIA is ignoring court oversight, violating property rights, and making unilateral decisions without judicial approval, that isn't governance. That's tyranny with a badge. And while the RCMP has now reportedly agreed to open an investigation, and that is a step in the right direction, Canadians are watching closely. Because we've seen what happens when government agencies investigate each other. It's usually the public that loses. Let's not forget, this isn't just about ostriches anymore. This is about control. This is about a government deciding that it can seize private property, block access to animals, prevent owners from saying goodbye to dying livestock, and even occupy neighboring properties that were never part of the original warrant. Think about that. One property owner, with no direct connection to the farm, now reportedly needs written permission from the government just to visit her mother at home. When a Canadian needs government approval to walk onto her own land, that's not public safety. That's state control. This is not about biosecurity anymore. This is about unchecked authority, creeping further into citizens' lives. Seneca once said, "All cruelty springs from weakness." And what we're seeing right now is a government so fragile, so desperate to maintain control, that it's resorting to cruelty to keep it. The CFIA might have taken over a farm, but what they're really taking over is freedom itself. How much longer are Canadians going to stand by and watch it happen? Stay tuned as we continue to follow this story. The whole world is watching,